Bit of a rumble around the MCG as we get underway in the second half. Both ruckmen end up facing the same way there.
No advantage. Brody Hollands.
So Hollands to take it in the middle. Magpies with the first inside 50, you would think. Dale Thomas gives it plenty. Rocker and Holland. The duel continues, and it continues to go the same way. But on the overflow, lockout. Dragged down. Crucial bit of work there from young Frawley. And the miss means it's a Melbourne ball, and what could have been easily a Collingwood goal now has Melbourne surging.
So out of defence, the mark's taken by McLean.
That's it, Benny. Hold there, Ben.
Umpire just directing Ben Johnson on the mark. McLean decides to go back and across to Carroll. We've got numbers back there, Melbourne. Thought about giving it to Ward and eventually does. As he loses Leon Davis, kick towards the wing. Bate, hands, couldn't quite hold on to it that time. Good tackle from Maxwell, but it's 2-on-1 and Melbourne win out, or do they? Maxwell does very well to hold up Bruce, but he got it back to Bate. But as a consequence, the kick wasn't directed too well, and Heath Shaw will get a free kick for a high tackle. So a couple of early free kicks to start the second half for the Magpies. Heath Shaw at half-back. Chips it wide, Ben Johnson. Thought about giving it to Stanley, decides to go himself. He kicks towards half-forward. Burns running hard, takes it, 60 from goal, kicks it to the top of the goal square. Travis Cloke at the back, couldn't quite get to him. Leon Davis crumbing, Cloke a chance. He snaps from the top of the goal square and kicks the opening goal of the second half for the Magpies. Collingwood get back to within 10 points.
Well called, Chris. I mean, the run here by Scott Burns, as you see, I mean, he just gets better with age, Scott Burns. His running capacity seems to have gone to a whole new level, pushed harder than anyone else in the contest, and this is Collingwood's style of play. They're predictable. They'll kick the ball to a contest in the goal square. Rocker got his hands on it, and the crumbs spilt. They're very dangerous at ground level. Collingwood, great start for them.
And there's a shot of Cameron Bruce, played almost the entire first half as a permanent forward. He's been moved into the midfield, as we said, in the first half. He'll be ready to run out this second half because he hasn't been extended. Dane Swan still going with him.
Yeah, they felt the need to reinforce the midfield with Travis Johnston down. Now Frawley for Jeff White, who hasn't had a massive impact on the game so far. Bate working hard across half forward. Leads Maxwell to the footy. Needed the accommodating bounce. Got it. Now, Sylvia and Robertson. Robertson trying to be creative. Bruce, almost. So the margin 10. The Magpies really hitting back hard. Sylvia, Swan, Bruce all in the mix. No free kick. Holland.
Aaron Davies been reasonably quiet.
He was.
Free kick to Holland out of all that.
He's magnificent at just sucking the opposition, isn't he, Brody Holland? He would have been niggling him the whole day.
What does he do, Daz?
Just enough there. Would have been a verbal, and Davies reacted.
Now 50.
Gee, there's a bit of angst out there. Alan Didak has put Wheatley down, and Daniel Bell trying to square up.
That was the original free kick.
And you can see Wheatley not happy with the treatment he received.
Well, he goes for Cloke, who's the man of the moment. Carroll with his hands full. Didak on the wrong side again. Tries to adjust the kick. Can't really do it effectively. Green. They've got to be clean here. The young man under pressure. So too Davey. Magpies circling. Leon Davis. Petted. Now Green. And they are away. Powerful boot does Wheatley have, but again there's lots of Magpies out there on the wing. Bate would have had to be very good there. He's sure. Burns. Again we go forward. Davis has got the run, and he didn't take the mark, but he does his best work on the ground. Again a miss.
Well, Leon Davis has been in great form with the boot this year. Going into the game, he kicked 16 goals and just 2 behinds. And you can see Aaron Davey getting quite frustrated.
That was the second one. That was why the 50 was paid.
Okay, Melbourne bringing out of defence, and the mark's taken by Bate, who's been Very busy this afternoon, coming up for his 11th disposal as a permanent forward. No one stands the mark, so he's able to run on. Long kick to Neat's advantage. Wakeling now has to double back. Bounce favours Swan, who was able to recover best. Wobbly little kick, but it's effective. Mark taken by Holland. Not 15 as you heard the umpire. Holland, though, with time. Not much to go to here, Brody Holland. Eventually, Lockyer breaks for him. And Holland hits him on the chest between half-back and wing. And David Neat's a problem. Gee, that's bad news for Melbourne.
Just jarred that knee again, Chris, in that contest with Shane Wakeling. He put his hand up straight away and he looks pretty sore at the moment.
Lockyer kicks towards Cloak. One-on-one with Carroll. Cloak too big, too strong. Wheels onto the left boot, long to the goal square. Fraser and Rocker. Good spoil by Holland. Spills towards Davis. Trying to get boot to ball. Fraser can't do it. That was great stuff coming from Wheatley. And two certain goals saved by Melbourne's desperation in the last line of defence.
Neat's off, boys, in strife.
Free kicks have evened up. They've had 9 of the last 12, by the way. The Magpies, is a bit of a retreat done there by McDonald to try and give them something further afield. Nathan Jones now. Demons under pressure here. They lead only by 8. Robertson now peeing the pot up forward.
Free kick to Robertson. Yeah, young Stanley went the double lead, Russell Robertson. It was clever play. Led once and then double back and
arms around. Here's the Neat's injury. Seemed innocuous, didn't it?
And Big Anthony. I reckon Anthony might be saying, I've been grabbed by the arm, I've been donged on the head, and I've got nothing.
Now Robertson, a steadying influence for the Demons if ever they needed one. It doesn't come. Hit the post. Margin is 9, and they are all of a sudden on the back foot here, the D's, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are, Hutto. I mean, I think the play that they're going to have to isolate is Russell Robertson. On this guy here, Stanley, first gamer, you reckon you put Russell Robertson and give him as much space as you possibly can.
Stanley to Pendlebury. Scott Pendlebury coming in for his 12th disposal. Lopes away on the left boot. Kicks it up. Tries to weight the kick towards Cloak. Couldn't quite take it. Swan. Handballs really to no one. Will chase back after it. Wheatley gets back first, but Swan somehow ended up with it. Couldn't get it away to Ben Johnson. Wheatley now picks it up. Kicks it back to the wing, but only as far as Lockyer. Lockyer tries to kick it back towards Swan, who's in the contest at half forward. Robertson, what's he doing there? Big fist. Ben Johnson can't control. Thrown out of the pack by Green. Chance now for Frawley, who got it to Godfrey. Godfrey's brilliantly tackled by Davis. Umpire lets it go. Ben Johnson now kicks it hurriedly towards half forward. Oh, great work from Bell. The fist away, but Didak deep in the pocket. He's very clever. He's very clever. Can't bring this one back. And Melbourne now clear it away.
Ward. Well, he's got nothing on here at all. Had to wait until Sylvia was an option. He needs to be clean here. There's only Collingwood players around him. Calling Sylvia. Got Davey. He's already made his move. So he's going to have to wait. We know Bates a penetrating kick. He's got Johnson in the square. It's long and it's straight. And that's all that matters. He's an interesting player, isn't he, Matthew Bates?
He is, but this is the play you've got to give the credit to. Colin Sylvia took that ball on the wing. He burned off his direct opponent. He looked forward and then he saw another Collingwood player coming from his right side. He sidestepped him. I think it was Heath Shaw. And then he put the ball in the middle corridor to Bate. Bate finished off, but wonderful play by Colin Sylvia.
Neats and Travis Johnston. You would think both of them out of the game. Travis Johnston with a hamstring injury and David Neats with a bad right knee. He hobbled off. We'll get to Andy Marr very, very shortly. Back in the centre, White wins it decisively to Bruce. Pulled off the kick by O'Brien. Now McLean, so Melbourne clear the centre towards Bate again. Oh, good tackle by Maxwell this time. He knocks it towards Petter, but Heath Shaw was there. Johnson squares it wide to Lockyer. So Collingwood trying to make an impression on this Melbourne lead. Heath Shaw, now Ben Johnson. This is promising. Kick towards Davis, and he will get a free kick for a hole. 35 metres from goal.
Ben Johnson just terrific. Good pass, good lead by Leon Davis. He's played pretty deep today, has Leon Davis. Tough being a defender, isn't it?
What do you reckon about that, Wolsey?
What else could Daniel Ward do? Well, yeah.
He's stiff, I think.
It is just very, very hard for a defender to defend.
5-2 from set shots, and he's very reliable normally, but he misses to the left. Let's get down to Andy Marr. Andy.
Yeah, Chris, he's flared up that medial that he hurt a few weeks ago. He missed 3 with that earlier in the season. The ice pack's gone straight onto it now, and there's a real air of resignation about the Demon skipper.
Bizzle's got the huddle, the break, and he'll come off. And why teams don't have outriders, I don't know.
Ward's kick was pretty well placed for Bell. He was just going back. You can see he just couldn't get his footing sure enough. And as a result, the Magpies are on here. We know Cloak can kick it long. Rocker's about mid-50. Will he go for him? He does. So Rocker's there. Fraser comes late. Oh, his timing was perfect, but just couldn't hang on. So many almost today. Look at all those Demon numbers through the defence. They've got to sort it out. Nathan Jones, impressive youngster. Bruce, just the instant handball. Godfrey, he had McLean away to his right, didn't spot him instead. Goes for Robertson, who's the meat of the Collingwood sandwich. Thomas and Stanley. The bread around him, but Robbo's taken it.
Pretty good effort from Dale Thomas again, though. He committed his body. He knew he was going to cop the impact from Russell Robertson, but we said it earlier, this is the matchup, Wolsey, that you think Melbourne are going to try and exploit. The young fellow Stanley. Russell Robertson's a beauty. It's going to be a hard job for him.
Well, if Russell Robertson kicks this, it's 5 goals out of 10, and I'd say the move has to be made.
He's traditionally struggled a bit against the Magpies. He needs to be straight, and again he's missed. So
it's funny, as a coach, you know, Mick Malthouse, there's no doubt he's thinking about it. Do I have to shift the young kid off him? But sometimes you live with situations if you think that eventually your team can benefit, even though an individual's struggling.
Fraser finds Bryant on centre wing, southern side. Driving kick inside, attacking 50. Rocker of chance here. Oh, in from the side. Spectacular mark taken by Nathan Carroll. So Melbourne's defence holding up extremely well in this third quarter. Carroll squeezes the kick out wide to Bizzle. And they can mount another attack as Bizzle kicks towards a loose player on the wing. McLean, they're away again. McLean drives it low and hard. Again, Robertson on the lead. Again a mark. 45 from goal, this time at left half forward. Well, he's had 2 opportunities in the quarter. Yeah. He's kicked 2 behinds, but
it's a good
another
kick.
chance.
Do you move Maxwell onto Robertson? Do you move Heath Shaw onto Robertson? If you take Heath Shaw onto him, you lose the run and drive that he's providing at the moment.
4 goals 2 this afternoon. Robertson from 50, and this time he drags it hard left, scrapes in for a behind. So 4 goals 3 to Russell Robertson this afternoon.
how many matches we've seen this year decided by accuracy in front of goal? It's an ever important statistic to look at. Heath Shaw. He's got the young man on Stanley on the wing if he wants him. Eventually goes for him. Let's see if Robertson can have an effect.
Well done, young fella. He needs that for his confidence.
Now Lockie is loose. Frawley comes late and came pretty well, but Lockie can look up. Rocker's deep in the square, went short for Medhurst. So maybe that. Oh, here's Medhurst, still a chance. Now Rocker and Didak. Bell. Rocker kept on coming. Oh, was that a free against Tyler Didak? Played it up for all it was worth, but he was very clever.
Well, Big Anthony picture, yet to have a kick.
It's interesting, Wolsey, just watching that contest. Tartan Lockyer had the ball about 50 metres out. Anthony Rocker hasn't had a kick, as you said. He was out one-on-one. I think your teammates sometimes lose faith in your ability to do it. He just needs the opportunity one-on-one to get himself back into the game. And at the moment, the Collingwood on-ballers aren't giving him that opportunity as well.
Well, there's been a lot of 50-50 calls today. That was another dodgy one, let's be honest. But this is such an important kick. And it was always, I guess, working against Didak, wasn't it?
You mentioned before, Wolsey, why aren't the outriders used as much now as possible? And it's been one of the changes that I've noticed coming back and playing is that you just don't have time. You look at this picture here, is that by the time that you set up, opposition players get out. So you're almost prepared to concede the first kick, hope you can get the second one back. And that's what most sides are doing now. Concede this one, man up now, make sure they don't get the second kick.
Bizzle kicks it wide, and they'll get that second kick as Pettard's loose on centre wing. So Melbourne, a promising build-up as he kicks awkwardly towards half forward, going back. Good mark taken by Maxwell. He read it well. And Nick Maxwell at half back. squares it to Lockyer. Tarkin Lockyer, disposal number 17th now. Number 17 has had a lot of it again today. Wakeland did have the job initially on Neitz. Wakeland's kick to Swan, just fell at his feet, made it difficult for him. Goldsack, Frawley got the handball away to Davey. Aaron Davey on centre wing, just arched the back and got away from the tackle of Goldsack. Now what's going to happen here?
Got dumped after the tackle, so it's a downfield handball.
Change been made. Alan Tooby's moved on to Robertson, and long overdue, I would think.
Former defensive coach Michael Christian did suggest that a little earlier. Frawley into the pocket now. Can Robbo beat 3? Well, he made the leap, but there's Tooby.
Well, Tooby's fist hit it.
McDonald, Nathan Jones, McLean. Time to steady, time to think about it, and then execute it. But even with all that time, not the result. So the Demons have had just a bit of a run here and haven't been able to consolidate their lead. So it opens the door again.
It's a great contest, Luke.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Brock McLean, that was his 16th disposal. Just another midfielder back into their side that's adding so much value to Melbourne now. Both
clubs have kicked 1 goal for in this third quarter, so they've both had their opportunities. Pendlebury's got it on centre wing. Chips it hard lead from Medhurst. Great fist in there though from Green. Good tackle. And what's the umpire going to do? He calls for it, which is certainly consistent to what we've seen this afternoon.
Just further to your stat on this quarter, Chriso, 3 points from set shots for Melbourne and 2 points from set shots for the Magpies.
Fraser taps it wide only as far as Jones, who hoists it very high. Swan couldn't quite take the mark. Boundary line too close. Boundary throw in centre wing.
Anthony Rocker has had a dog of a day so far. He needs to lift, but that's what he's had to contend with. He's had his arm almost pulled out of the socket a couple of times, and then he gets belted over the forehead by Dutchy Holland. You just got to keep working hard, Anthony.
Beautifully read there. Shaw from the Fraser tap. Lockyer did well, but he just used the hands at the last minute. He'd actually got rid of McLean without using the hands and then just pushed off at the last moment to give the umpire the view of it. Now, it's one-on-one everywhere, you can see. Magpies very disciplined. And this is a 50-50 at best. Another free kick, the arms that time. Crowd getting frustrated. Here's David Neitz having a bit of a try.
He looks okay.
Andy Marr down on the boundary. What's the bench situation for both teams?
Well, that's a miracle down here, Wolsey. 5 minutes ago, you wouldn't have given Neitz any chance. They've obviously lost Travis Johnson, so they're down 1, possibly 2 at the moment. Collingwood down Harry O'Brien. They haven't been able to work any real rotations through that defensive 6, such is what they're left with.
Bait the target. Godfrey waits down, but Maxwell again for Burns. Goldsack and Lockyer bolts for him. Davies still there or thereabouts, which is always a factor. Well done by the young man. Now Cloak presents strongly.
She's a good player, Travis Cloak.
There's a chance from here.
He has just got better and better as each year's gone by. And with Chris Tarrant no longer in the Collingwood team, he can dominate out at half forward. He's the pea in the pot for them.
Still only 20 years of age, Rob.
Look at the size of him. Confidence growing. Just got to get his kicking right.
You look the other way from 10 metres out, but from this far, you keep watching, and that's why Collingwood's 8th on the board. How can it be? Like, you can't keep going from 10 metres out, but you can nail them from 50.
Well, you called it so well then, Hutto, because he just looks so much more relaxed from outside 50. He's not thinking about it. The pressure's off. No one's really expecting that to go through. So he relaxes. He keeps his eye on the footy. From 10 metres out, you can see his body language change and his whole routine changes. It's such a mental thing, kicking goals, and when you boot it from outside 50, it helps your side win.
Travis Cloak, 3 goals this afternoon. Margin back to 10 points.
Leon Davis being given a run in the midfield. They've got to share the load, the Collingwood players, and Mick Malthouse ringing the changes.
From the bounce, or chance for Burns, almost had it. Frawley dispossessed. McDonald somehow got it to Green, who shovels it intelligently to McLean, who's in the clear. Kick towards half-forward. Robertson again. Well done, Tooby. Affected the spoil. Robertson 65 from goal. Kick around the body. Green. No, not quite. And getting in to knock it over is Maxwell. What's the umpire going to do here? Throw it in, he says. That was a close one because we've seen 3 or 4 play already today. Great effort from Brad Green. Couldn't quite hold on as he hit the turf. Sylvia, great knock over to the back towards Jones, but Collingwood were awake to it. And Burns ties up.
Interesting, Colin Sylvia's done that twice at boundary throw-ins in that forward pocket. He's been the third man up and got his hand on the ball and put it over the back to a dangerous spot.
Bounce 40 metres from Melbourne's goal. Maxwell, third man up this time to Goldsack. Loops the handball over the top of McLean to Swan. Casual bounce at halfback and again works his way towards the wing. High towards half-forward. Cloak in a good spot here, but hands in the back again. Free kick to Melbourne.
Bizzle was clever there. Well, he just turned a little bit, so Cloak's hands went from being on his side to on his back. Bizzle to the wing, where it's one-on-one. Fraser and Carroll a long way from home. Oh, Frawley, lack of awareness.
Yeah, that's the advantage of putting Leon Davis into the midfield.
Now Pendlebury uses it beautifully again, and the Magpies are on the fly. Off to Didak. And he misses it again. Shooting for goal. You can see the frustration it causes. It's 9 points the difference now.
Hands in the back. Yes, says the umpire.
Wolsey, that's the matchup you've got to keep going to, though, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's a real worry, Clint Bizzle playing on Travis Cloak.
Ward to himself, then to Paul Johnson.
Because I think Cloak will beat him in the air and with foot speed.
Godfrey over the top as well as Bell. Ignores both of those options and kicks to bait. Well done, Paul Johnson. Good kick. Gee, crucial 4 minutes here. Margin 9 points. And a real arm wrestle in this third quarter. Just 3 goals kicked. Bate kicks it inside to Jones. Now, what's going to happen here?
It's a Melbourne ball.
A free kick for hands in the back, I think, again. Pushing the back it is. Against Alan Didak. So, Bizzle's got it at half-back for Melbourne.
No, it is.
Yep.
It is 50 for abuse against Travis Cloak.
Now, we'll just see there was about 5 metres from the back of the centre square, and the centre square is 50 metres. That is at least 60 metres, that 50-metre penalty.
Gee, you picked that up very quickly, Ron.
Well,
I reckon it's closer to 65.
there you go. That was near the point of the square at right half-back for Melbourne, and now he is 45 metres from goal.
Paul Wheatley sniffing around.
Yes, he was too. He just missed the chance there, Bizzle.
Gee, Bizzle's been put down.
It's going to be one heck of a last quarter, isn't it?
Shapes is a beauty.
Lockyer goes for Goldsack. 3 minutes remaining in this third quarter. It's great one-on-one footy. Every time you look up, you just see these contests.
Heath Shaw has run 80 metres. He hasn't got the footy, but he beat off his direct opponent, Cameron Bruce. He sprinted 80 metres to present.
Bryant, White, McLean having an influence, isn't he, around the clearances at the moment. Sylvia, he and Bate are sort of the mobile centre-half forwards. Leave it behind that time, though. Holland and Wakeland with the clean-up job. Magpies just a few numbers behind for the moment, and they can sort this out and try and bring it down this side of the ground. Through the middle, Holland was loose. Medhurst leads out of the square, but he goes shorter than that to Didak. Bell did well. He was not going to lose his footing that time. Didak seduced the footy. Somehow got it. Maxwell's still got work to do. No free kick. Medhurst. Ward. And it's over and out. And then Medhurst makes his dive way too late.
Done a good job, the small defenders from Melbourne. Daniel Bell and Alan Didak has kept him fairly quiet. And also Ward on Medhurst. They're both on dangerous opponents. Watching that replay there. No free kick.
There's the throw in. White. Didak was able to shake McDonald.
Strong.
Awesome effort. Now, is there a free that time? There's not. And it's over. You can sense that things are really boiling in the crowd, aren't they, at the moment?
Yes.
So a boundary throw in. Collingwood in an attacking position deep in their forward pocket. Ball to the front. McLean, well wrapped up by Davis. What's the umpire going to do here? He calls for it. No chance. Good umpiring, umpire McLaren.
Davis has been terrific the last 5 minutes with his chasing and tackling.
Forward pocket. Rocker this time towards Ben Johnson. Davis has got it. Leon Davis, left foot snap, brings it back and kicks up beauty. Margin 4 points, and Collingwood trail by 34 points at the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, and look slowly work their way back into the game.
Yeah, they have, and as Wolsey said, when you work hard and you chase, as Leon Davis has done, he's put enormous pressure in the midfield. You get the rewards because he's got himself involved in the play. We know how dangerous he is around goal, and Leon Davis, that kick around the body, he's just about the best player in the competition at that. Well done, Leon.
You wonder how he can ever be let loose that close to goal. I know it can happen in a stoppage, but why he's so dangerous, everyone knows it. Crowd simmering here. Frustration with the umpiring, but we've got one heck of a ball game. 4 points the difference. Minute to go, just over a minute to go in this third quarter, so the Pies could yet be in front before we head to the last change. Heath Shaw with a couple to negotiate. He did that superbly. Maxwell, Burns, and that's what they're doing at the moment. They are burning the Magpies. To half forward, Dydak's ready to wait down. Pendleby comes through, and Holland away. Demons need to wrap it up. Frawley, Jones.
Gee, the tackling's intense by both teams.
It's lifted.
Absolute crackerjack game. Coach is getting into it at ground level. Mick Malthouse has come down. That's the second time today Heath Shaw's done something clever like that. A little bit of tunnel ball.
Fraser. Heath Shaw started on the bench today. Got injured last week. Only played about 30 minutes. Came on initially with Aaron Davey, but it's been creative once again. 17 possessions for Heath Shaw.
I think Neil Danaher at three-quarter time has to get to his ruckman and midfielders and say we have lost the initiative in the second and third quarters. Get in first, get in hard, because we've just got to get it into our forward line more often than we've been doing.
Penard was great there, and so too the young man Stanley on debut. So they've got 55 seconds to try and score one more time, and it opens up for them, Chris.
Holland in the centre of the ground, and he's away. One bounce and a second. Great chase from Wheatley, but he runs to 60. Didak one out in the goal square, and well done by Carroll. But Didak, can he pick it up? Alan Didak, it's still in. Well done. Desperate stuff from the Melbourne defence. They force it through.
Great contest that was.
Great work, and that's been the third occasion, Daniel Ward, where Melbourne have, just through their desperation in the last line, have prevented Collingwood goals. That time it was Daniel Ward throwing himself at the footy and getting it over.
And they're on the Demons now. Davey. Most of them being covered. Davey spots someone. Oh, in the middle. Little window here for Thomas. The flamboyant one for Burns. 10 seconds. Medhurst is a big kick of the ball when he gets onto it with a runner. Didak is down there as well. Poor kick, poor choice from Medhurst as it turned out. He was going nowhere really. O'Brien was in the goal square, so not a normal forward target. But stand by for a big last quarter. The Demons will take a 3-point advantage in Das. What's your gut feeling?
Gut feeling we've got a sensational last quarter coming up. It's been an enormous contest right from the start of the game. Melbourne got the jump in the first quarter. They led by about 3 or 4 goals. And Collingwood's effort just to persist and get themselves back into the game has been outstanding. Melbourne are down 2 players. Travis Johnson's done a hamstring. David Neitz looks like he won't come back on with a knee. That could be a big factor in this last quarter. It's going to be an absolute beauty.
Don't go anywhere. It's a big last term coming up.
Umpire McLaren to restart play. Anthony Rocker, just one handball this afternoon. They'll be looking to have a big quarter, I'm sure. Final quarter of the big Queen's birthday game at the MCG, and White wins it down to McLean. He was held in the tackle and gets the free kick. Gee, first goal will be crucial here. Melbourne have led all day, led by 34 points. Early stages of the second quarter. Out wide to White. O'Brien pursuit. Right. White kicks towards Robertson over his head. Chance now for Heath Shaw, who's been outstanding again today. some doubt about him coming in, but he's been fantastic. Measured the kick superbly, perfectly, with great poise to Stanley. Kicks it wide, Wakeland. And plenty of room, plenty of space at half-back. Delivers to Lockyer, who marks strongly. Yeah, umpire McLaren just waited for the thumbs up there from the boundary umpire. Back to Wakeland. Oh, wasn't a great kick for Johnson. He's turned it over. Now a chance for Melbourne. Davey. Oh, gee, electrifying. Look at that. Handball inside. Good support. And Melbourne now away as Davey gets it back.
Oh, that's a terrible kick from Davey. And Fraser is on the loose at centre-half forward. A calamity for the Demons.
Strong mark.
Done enough there to be paid the mark.
Bissell coming from behind. It just shows you turn the ball over to the opposition, you pay a penalty.
That was just from nowhere. That kick from Aaron Davey had options further afield. Low percentage, and will he pay the ultimate price here? Josh Fraser certainly hopes so. He's kicked 7-3 for the year. It's coming back, but you could see it was never really a chance. Who's going to have the kicking boot on in the straight? That's the thing.
Again, the huddle. And Wheatley, he'll wait for them to break wide, one way or the other, or both. Now they're starting to split.
And one.
Too easy, isn't it?
50 metres clear. And he's away. A big opportunity for the Demons as Ward kicks to Bruce, who marks comfortably on the wing, calling for players to come to him. High towards half forward. Tuvey did well again against Robertson. Fist towards the boundary line. Sylvia's got it. Stanley needs to put him over. He shrugs Stanley aside. Colin Sylvia kicks to the goal square. Robertson hands in the back. He's paid the mark.
And look at Scott Burns going off his head. Now this will be interesting to see if there's a push with the hands in the back.
Was it in the back or the side?
Well, the Collingwood players, you can see their reaction to it. There's the early push. Hard to pick up on that.
Well, he's kicked 4. He'll come in and kick his 5th from 15 metres. Russell Robertson, Melbourne 8 points in front. Well, this rule, and it's a new rule, don't be mistaken, it's not a new interpretation, it's a new rule. It has come under fire so far this season. It's been in full cry today, and we'll have another look at it.
Even the players look at each other and discuss. What do you think of that?
Here's another look at it. Was it hands in the back or the side? One was in the side. It's whether that left hand was in the back or not. Looked like it might have been. Gee, the players fair way away there. They come in. Can the Melbourne surge forward again? They can. McLean doing a power of work at the moment. Robertson, he got clear that time.
Tuvey slipped,
Yeah,
can't afford it, and it goes back to the centre clearance. And it was just Dale Thomas who wasn't able to get an effective handball out, so it went Melbourne's way. And Russell Robertson always strong overhead.
He's had a big game, Robbo. He's only averaged just a goal a game against Collingwood in the past, but he's kicked 5 goals 3. Needs to coolly and calmly slot that through, and that's exactly what he does.
He's been the one player right from the start of the game today, Russell Robertson, who's just looked like he might take the game apart. He kicked 3 goals in the first quarter, and they've struggled for a matchup. They had young Stanley on him for a while. Tuvey's done a pretty good job, but you just sit back here now and you think, wouldn't they love James Clement at the moment? Wouldn't he be the one player to go on?
Well, we're back and it's 5 minutes into the final quarter. You can see Anthony Rocker hasn't had a kick. He's got to do something, the big fella, and maybe one of them might be to come up at a centre bounce and just charge through and see if he can hit something that's wearing blue and red.
O'Brien tries to break clear, and eventually the umpire calls for it.
He's had it too easy, Dutchie Holland. This is the second time he's played on him in big games and taken the honours absolutely.
So the umpire to restart play, the attacking side of the circle for the Demons, who have been dominant in this final quarter so far. Pendlebury got a kick to it, but not 15. You heard the umpire. Wheatley drives it forward again. What's going to happen here? At Robertson at the back again. Couldn't hold on this time. Wakeland. Robertson tries to toe poke it forward. Couldn't quite get there. Now a chance for Shaw. In the back pocket, relieves the pressure for the Magpies. Burns, he's got Lockyer running for him, kicks beyond that to Pendlebury. Good option from Burns. Pendlebury needs to play on now. Fraser's one out here with Green, and he's taking a long time, Scott Pendlebury. Melbourne have got numbers back now, so makes it difficult. He kicks it high towards Fraser. He's got to beat a couple. Good strong hands though from Josh Fraser.
Well,
60 from goal.
Why was Jeff White on the mark in that situation?
Rocker one out here.
He kicks towards Rocker. Rocker in a good spot. He's got it. No, he couldn't take it this time. Shovels it out. And again, Melbourne. Fantastic in defence, and the clearance from Bruce.
Was great, wasn't it? Sits for Green beautifully. Gets around Maxwell. Now Bate. He can go long. Robbo calling for it. A couple of other options as well. Neitz was in the mix. And Penhead, but this is terrific play by Heath Shaw, who can go for O'Brien. And he can keep on running. Medhurst versus Bizzle. They engage, but nothing going on there. Good work, good steady stuff, Bell. McLean was able to ride it again. Now Carroll. Just clear heads needed by the Demons. They lead by 14. Wheatley got a bit of warning from the crowd and was able to find Bate through the middle again. It opens up as they break off him. Let's test out the knee, David Neitz. Was there a chopping? Was there a chopping of the arm here, Wolsey?
Well, he's had the arm chopped, the arm pulled, and the head punched.
Boundary throw in, half forward for Melbourne. To the back by Jeff White. Maxwell knocks it back towards the boundary line and over. So another boundary throw in.
And another look now. This is the hands in the back we're about to have another look at. The umpires have. There's the Robertson hands in the back on TV. The umpire was front onto it, and they have said that it's difficult to pay it if they're not side on.
And that's the great problem with this new rule, that the umpires cannot possibly, it's not their fault, they cannot possibly be in the position for every marking contest. Collingwood bring it away. Burns, Medhurst set a challenge here. Clean bowls him and his opponent Bizzle. And getting back to assist Ward. Bizzle slips the Davis tackle. Cool in a crisis was Clint Bizzle. Got it to Holland, and now Frawley's got it. Deep inside his defensive 50, but plenty of time to deliver out wide to McLean, who has it at half back. Chips it over the top. Wheatley running hard. So Melbourne have got all the answers at the moment. Back to Frawley. Handball to Green. He's got a loose player inside the centre square. And that's Daniel Bell. Bell now can measure the kick, looking for Neitz. Neitz, just eluded him. Robertson well tackled by Tuvey. Chance for Neitz. Ball to the back. Holland desperate. Shovels it towards Wakeland, but Neitz intercepted. Collingwood have got numbers there, and eventually they win out as Maxwell, little toe poke into the path of Pendlebury.
Melbourne trying to form a bit of a guard along the wing, and hence he had to wait until Goldsack was there to support. Davey! He can never be denied in that situation. Would make anyone nervous. Goldsack to the wing for Lockyer. That was terrific presentation. Well done. Now Johnson. Rocker makes a lead. Can he take a mark? He's got it! No free kick, nothing. He's got it. Anthony goes to centre half forward. It's not bad for Brian. What an effort. I don't think Brian was sure himself whether he'd marked it.
Well, he's a lovely long kick, is Chris Bryan, and it was positioned perfectly by Anthony.
Not sure the umpire was in the best position to actually tell on that occasion either. Let's have a look.
It's a mark.
Clock's running, Chris. Don't forget that.
So Chris Bryan, we know he can kick it a long way. There's no question about that. He's kicked 3 goals, 4 for the year. It's wobbly, isn't it? And it's again on the wrong side of the post. Both sides suffering the same kicking disease in front of goal this afternoon. The margin 13, and we're at about the halfway stage, getting close towards the halfway stage of this last quarter.
Melbourne again are able to easily clear it from behind as Bell takes the mark. And it's not been a a stop-start clearance has been a running clearance. Bait marks on the wing. Off a step, kicks it high. Paul Johnson's made good position at half forward. Late pressure coming from Fraser, but Johnson's able to take the mark. And again, Melbourne look dangerous going forward.
Been 14 minutes since Collingwood have scored a goal too.
The umpire called him round and then he couldn't hear him, so he just let him go in the end. Big contest in the goal square. Cold sack, good punch. Heath Shaw's been fantastic. Again, he gets it somehow to Swan, who throws it out to Wakeland. Wakeland now around the body. Kick partly smothered. James McDonald, oh, he had it set up, then lost the footy. Jones desperate, but Shaw on top of him. And we'll get a bounce 40 metres from the Melbourne goal. It was quite humorous because Scott McLaren was calling Paul Johnson around the mark. In the end, he just gave up because he couldn't hear him and said, play on. You'll be right.
Tense times for Neil Danaher. Johnson, Shaw, Swan. McDonald, desperate. Dived on it, but sort of then got under the ball himself. And he's going to pay it anyway.
He dived on that, Jones. Jones, he dived on that, clearly.
So Swan. Magpies trying to edge back. They haven't kicked a goal though, as we said, for 14 or 15 minutes. Wakeland for Ben Johnson, and Heath Shaw's been able to push up here to be a clear option on the wing. Now Travis Cloak is away from Carroll too, across half forward. Cloak didn't know whether to lead up or lead back. So it goes longer. As Rocker got a feel for it now. It was high enough in the air, it gave everyone a chance. Leon Davis. Frawley. Certainly not shy to run when he gets the footy. Bell in the back.
Just interesting there, Hutto, with Heath Shaw. He had so much space in front of him. He had about 50 metres and he chose to kick it to a contest when he could have run maybe and had 2 more bounces, put the Melbourne defence under a bit more pressure. 5 free kicks against Anthony Rocker.
So Paul Wheatley, eventually it's Sylvia that makes the move, and that was great execution from both Sylvia and from Wheatley. Love to see Wheatley in the Melbourne team because he's just got that weapon with his foot. Bait. Here's McDonald, and well done from Goldsack. You look at me like that for Chris. Oh, he can kick the ball a long way.
He certainly
is
can.
What I was saying.
Yes.
And he should have played more games than he has. He's had some injuries. He's only played 103 games. Righto, you can talk.
Boundary throw in. And short boundary throw in. Comes to McDonald, who hacks it forward. It bounces on the line, was it? No. The umpire said it bounced out. Now, field umpire Jeffrey was right on the scene, and he agreed with the boundary umpire. It was about 30 metres behind the game.
Fraser having a rest there, Woolsey.
Yes, and they'll need him to come back on pretty soon. I would think it'd only be for about 2 minutes.
High kick by Stanley to the wing. Oh, big mark by Travis Cloak. That was a big pack mark. Wanted to play on, but there was no one presenting. Now Swan gets into a usable position. Kick off the side of the boot. Fortuitously went towards Lockyer. Now one-on-one battle. Holland and Rocker. They both overrun it. And they're mopping up there. Frawley, McDonald, now Wheatley. Melbourne have got all the answers at the moment. Long sustained lead from Neitz, who marks 60 from goal. Wakeland stays off him. He chips it high. Chance for Davey, and he marks strongly in front of Goldsack. And Aaron Davey, even with 9.5 minutes on the clock, you would think if he could kick this, I think Melbourne will win the game.
Been a great effort from David Neitz. I mean, we know he's very sore in the medial ligament. He hurt it again. Probably didn't think he'd come back on. And since he has in this last quarter, he's just worked hard, presented, thrown his body in. And Mick is reasonably frustrated at the moment.
So Aaron Davey, just inside 50, loads up. Wonderful kick off the boot. And Melbourne, well, have they iced it? They lead by 19. Well, Melbourne have kicked 3 goals to none in this final term and have certainly played the better football.
Pretty inspirational when your captain comes back on. All the other players would be 100% aware of the situation. He's definitely not 100% right, but to come back on shows a lot of courage and a lot of leadership, and he's got plenty of both of those, David Neitz.
So still McMulthouse resting Josh Fraser.
I reckon he'd be better off to have Fraser up in the goal square. Chris Bryant's doing the ruck work. Have Fraser up in the goal square and get Anthony Rocker off.
White's also off the ground for Melbourne. Beautiful tap, and Holland's able to break loose. Gee, had time for a bounce. And Leon Davis is going to have to fly against Ward. He just roughed him out of the way, and Carroll able to concede the behind. Body strength told then, didn't it, against Leon Davis?
And Collingwood have persisted with this huddle that's in our back, Rob, to just man on man, and it's failed.
Here it is.
It's failed every time, and it's failed again.
Every time Melbourne has had a clean takeaway, they have cleared it out of their defensive 50 every time from a kick-in, and about 8 occasions they've taken it from the kick-in into their forward 50 without Collingwood touching the ball. And it's just hard to work out why there's not a plan B that you put into place when this isn't working.
Wheatley kicks with that weapon and does it well. Mark taken by Paul Johnson. On centre wing's been good today, Paul Johnson. Great kick to the chest of Neitz, who's getting involved. Off the ground with what we thought was a match-ending knee injury. Hyder half forward. Robertson leaves. Ball at ground level. Plenty of players there. Godfrey. Chance for Bruce. Wild handball back to Davey. Davey kicked the last goal. It's got time to steady. Off a step. Kicks goal. And has it got the carry? Hit the post.
So 8 minutes to go, or thereabouts. Penalty. Medhurst working hard, top of your screen. Just there's an injury down behind play. You can also see, we'll get back to that in a moment.
Maxwell.
Gee, Collingwood can't afford to lose any more defenders, can they? And Maxwell wants to fight on. Scotty Burns. Rocker, can he get involved here? Oh, he's given away the free.
Free number 6. That's just a reckless leap. Cost your team.
He said the umpire there, go away, mate.
He's coming off Nick Maxwell. It's at left knee, and they've just taken Heath Shaw off the ground with that corky. It looks like he's going to have to come back on.
Of course, after the game, we like to get Woolsey to rate a certain number of players out of 10. So we'll ask you what Anthony Rocker will get for the day. Don't think anyone's got a minus yet, so we'll see how Woolsey goes. Bates and Golter. I'm actually surprised, Woolsey, I mentioned it earlier, that Rocker stayed out there the whole time, because when they really did come back before half-time, as we check the crowd figure, it's been another booming day, 70,000 at the MCG. That's when they started to make their move back.
Yeah, you're right. And when you have a dog of a day as a forward, and believe me, we've all had them, it'd be good to have a run in the ruck just to free him up a little bit.
Well, they've still got time if they get going now, but it just doesn't. They're just breaking down, aren't they? Every time they move it forward, they need to kick 3 goals plus.
Poor kick from Bryan coming in then. And Holland, who has done the job on Anthony Rocker, who's been fantastic, Ben Holland.
Just the run here from Brock McLean. He's not going to get the footy here, Chriso, but his work rate today, watched him closely. He ran 150 metres there. And look how upset he is.
The free kick there. Now, indiscriminate. He threw the ball away.
It's the right decision. And 50 metres.
Oh, dear. Now, this could be pivotal. Brock McLean just innocuously threw the ball away and is going to bring Ben Johnson to within 25 metres of goal.
It's not like he threw the ball away from the area, is it? He slammed it into the chair.
And that's what he's saying. He's saying, look, the ball's where it.
But he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it.
He didn't have to do it, and he shouldn't have done it. But we're taking all of the emotion out of football, Chris.
Brock McLean's days at 24 disposals, 6 clearances, 4 tackles, and run as hard as anyone on the ground, and 1 mistake.
Johnson must kick this if Collingwood are to stay alive. From 25 metres, Ben Johnson kicks a goal for the Magpies. So we've seen some tight finishes over the recent weeks. As we look at it again, just a little frustrated. Bang, straight into the chair. I mean, he aimed it to just land in the chair so it would just settle in the chair. It wasn't like he, as you say, Rob,
Slam
threw
dunk.
it away. Yeah.
But the
So
rule
he knew
is,
it was
though,
going to be very
if
close.
you grab the ball, you've got to return it to the umpire.
Yeah. So, yeah.
No one's going to be trying harder now than Brock McLean in these last 5 or so minutes. Collingwood is still a chance. They've got lots of problems in their defence, so if the Demons can get it in there.
Massive clearance this one, Hutto.
Tap from White. Sylvia comes in to lend a hand. And here is McLean getting a kick. Got a few to make up. Here's Wheatley. Lost his footing, and so the Magpies will get the ball. Lockyer. Again, not a well-directed kick. But this suits Didak. We know he can go. Into the pocket, that'll do them.
They move Burns to full forward for that last centre bounce, playing on Carroll.
Doesn't try and have a shot. Davis, Thomas! And in the middle of all that was Cloak. And this is what Leon Davis does so well normally, but not this time.
Super tackle, Brad Green.
Go there, Leon. Don't go in! Don't go in!
Melbourne now get it to half-back Bell. And they've played a wonderful last quarter, Melbourne. No question about that. Kicked a couple of early goals through Russell Robertson. And in general have controlled things pretty well in the final term. Sylvia on centre wing towards Davey, who marks at half forward. Too far out to score. Into the final 5 minutes. Oh, McDonald getting loose across half forward.
Bree just not running with him. They've used this very well, Melbourne. They've taken it from half back with a series of 3 short passes, pinpoint. And you can just see O'Brien nowhere near his opponent.
From 50, he loads up. They gave it off to Wheatley, and Wheatley's kick just off line, so the margin out to 14 points. Magpies need to kick 3 goals.
Trying to use the weapon.
Yes. You've dubbed him the weapon.
So Lockyer for Johnson. You're sniggering at Woolsey. Bate playing in front of Stanley, who did well that time, and still the door remains ajar. Goldsack, you got to watch out. He did. He was able to get clear of Davey, so he's got some toe, and there's no free kick there, despite the pleas of Scotty Burns.
Collingwood has to be wrapped with Tyson Goldsack's effort today. He's battled it out. He started Russell Robertson and got beaten, but he's really just stuck at it today, and a real positive. Free kick.
Let's see if they get the ball away with ease again at the kicking.
Daniel Ward's got it. Just the 4 goals kicked in this final term. As he goes wide, Swan in the contest. Bizzle not quite. Chance for Swan. Medhurst over the top, keeps it in. Kicks to the goal square. Now, Cloak's got to beat a couple here. Well done by Carroll. Fists it over. Boundary throw in the forward pocket for Collingwood. Had the sit, did Nathan Carroll. Medhurst. Just need a goal out of nothing here, the Magpies. Cloak knocks it down. It was uncontested in the end. Jeff White did the roving after Nathan Jones. And again, Melbourne clear the defensive zone. High kick. Thomas has got to sit and wait, and he does. He marks well. Just 4 to the wing, Dale Thomas. Time ticking away for Collingwood. Margin 13 points. Oh, he wants to take on Bate and does it well. Kicks it long to the goal square. Gee, it's 4-on-1 down there, and in from the side, a spectacular leap and a spectacular mark by Brad Green.
Not his best effort, Dale Thomas. He knew that there were numbers back, and he had players in short he could have used, and just decided to take the opposition on. It wasn't the right time to do it. Probably could have hit up one of his teammates on a short there.
Marking more like Brown than Green these days. Brad Green, gee, took a couple of those Jonathan Brown-like ones last week. Now Didak's got to go, and he's got a man on 2 in O'Brien. Rocker's in the pocket. He might not go for him. Brian's deeper, and so is Davis. Again, Melbourne have got more numbers back. It's a free kick, and it's going to Collingwood.
Not sure who. One of you guys. There was a hand grabbed his jumper.
I'm not sure who.
But it's Leon Davis. All he's got to do is slot this through. He's done that. And they're not dead yet.
Well, there's a bit of each way there, wasn't there? A hand in the back plus a push.
Definitely a hold on the
Sorry,
jumper.
hold and a hand in the back.
Important centre bounce. Melbourne has dropped 2 extra players behind the ball for this centre bounce. So you can see the Melbourne players back there. Neil Danaher, realising there's not that long to go, has shored up his defence.
Centre breaks this half 8-2 in favour of Melbourne. This is a big one.
Fraser gets it forward. Johnson, attempted kick was foiled. Now Bruce floats it towards half forward. Shaw takes the mark. The loose player for Collingwood sweeps the handball to Stanley, back to Shaw. He drives it long and high. Don't know if that was the best option, and an uncontested mark to Brad Green.
That's one of the extra men in defence.
And that's why it wasn't a great option, because he just hit it up high, and Melbourne, weight of numbers, needed to try and pick off a short option, did Heath Shaw.
Well, Melbourne will struggle as they go forward because they haven't got the numbers. So Bell doing the right thing, just patient, waiting with the footy. It's important here that Collingwood goes one-on-one.
Need to get a man each as Bell kicks it high. Cloak in good position, drifting across the front of the pack, and he marks just backward of the wing. He's got a loose player inside the centre square, and he sees him now. McLean pushing back. Well done, Swan. Needs to knock it out. He's got assistance there in Didak. Intelligently, he soccers off the ground to half forward. Out comes Big Brian. Couldn't handle the hot footy, and Bell picks it up. Kicks it back to Davey, but Swan's in the way. No, he couldn't take the mark, but recovers and does very well at ground level. Oh, he's in trouble here, Dane Swan. Umpire lets it go. McLean shovels the kick out wide, and it's a foot race.
Is there still time for the Magpies? David Neitz. They just need one more goal to finish them off. Into the pocket, and it would be fitting if it's Russell Robertson.
Second time Turvey has slipped.
I wonder if he's got the moulded soles on right.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll see if we can see it here. The Collingwood player slips. It's the second time he's done that to enable his opponent mark. And my old coach, Ron Barassi.
The Demons have made it 2 in a row.
Barassi be checking his stops as he came off the ground.
6 goals for Russell Robertson as he made it 7. It's a sweet, sweet victory for the D's of the G.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should all acquaintance be over, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
David Neitz, you looked shot to pieces when you came off with your knee. You had the conversation at three-quarter time. You decided it meant that much to you to be out here.
Yeah, look, we need to get out here. It's a really close game, and huge game. It meant a lot to us, big crowd and everything like that. So, really great for the boys. Really strong effort all day, and difference to get the victory.
The motivation for you blokes is going to be strange for the rest of the season. Do you want to talk finals? Brad Green mentioned it last week. Do you still believe you can do it?
Oh, look, it's a possible chance, but it's not about finals for us. It's about just going out there and playing with pride and earning a bit of respect for the competition.
And you must feel now that you've still got 1 or 2 that can come back in, but you're starting to get something like your best 22 together on a regular basis.
Yeah, we're starting to get there, and a few of our young guys are stepping up and improving all the time. So, no, it looks good for us, and we just need to keep plugging away for the rest of the year.
Feels nice to win in front of 70,000 at the MCG, huh?
Absolutely does.
Well done, mate. Good on you.
A lightning start by the D's today, but it was hard work after that, boys, wasn't it, to get to the line?
It was, Anthony, and full credit to Collingwood for coming back as they did. You'd expect nothing less, but again, Melbourne responded really well to answer the challenge and finish the game really strongly. And fitting that the last 2 kicks of the game were Neitz to Robertson for a goal.
Yeah, Russell Robertson probably the difference in the end, Wolsey. As you said, he's kicked 7 goals, and I mentioned him before the game. I wanted to see Brock McLean play. I think he was almost the best player on the ground again. His work rate was fantastic, and well done, Melbourne.
Well done indeed. They've got home by 13 of the G.
It's the Victorian Football League Grand Final, the greatest football crowd in the country's history at Melbourne Cricket Ground.
History demands that some matches command attention. Such are games between Melbourne and Collingwood.
Here is the Collingwood side.
52 years ago, football's greatest rivalry began.
Here it comes, and it's sailing through.
In 1955, Melbourne beat Collingwood by 26 points in the grand final.
Melbourne attacked repeatedly, and the picture tells its own story.
It would be the first of 5 premiership playoffs between the two in the 9 years to follow.
Settling down, the Demons' fitness and ruggedness overcome the early blistering pace of the Magpies.
So much of this game's history was created as these two giants clashed.
Ian Ridley is floored by Collingwood's Bill Sarong.
The greatness of that Melbourne team.
Brilliant Barassi adds another goal to Melbourne's tallies, and the Demons go away to win the premiership by 121 points to 48. Hold on, says Fons Kine.
The pugnacity and subsequent significance of Collingwood's champions of 58.
Kicks it to the flank, but it's all over, and Collingwood wins the 1958 Grand Final.
Gabbo's wobbly, inspirational, galloping goal.
What a run from Collingwood skipper Ray Gallagher.
The bone-jarring collision between Des Healy and Bluey Adams. So many moments. So many champions.
The Demons are on the march.
So many memories.
If Crumpton goes, the Demons are back in the lead.
It's why this match, today, will always be one for lovers of our game to savour.
Well, some things don't change, at least not too much. The great winter ritual of rugging up and getting along to this sporting icon, the MCG, is alive and well, and Collingwood and Melbourne are still attracting the masses in huge numbers on this Queen's Birthday Holiday Monday. Well, we're all about the present now, so let's get down to the ground at Andy Marr.
And as you come down here, Hutto, it just starts to rain, and I think it's going to be a real factor today. There are lots of showers swirling around the MCG today. That is going to be a factor. The Melbourne Footy Club doing some great work with the prostate cancer awareness today. Melbourne have made the one change. Wolsey, Collingwood really struggling to cobble a side together here today.
They are, Andy, and I just saw Heath Shaw. He's gone to the interchange bench and he's got the biggest bandage on his thigh you could ever wish to see.
Okay, we're underway here. Melbourne versus Collingwood. White wins it clear. A chance for Didat. Bell with the job on him this afternoon. Picked up by Neitz. McLean into the action already. Kicks it towards full-forward and Baker's marked. 25 metres from goal, directly in front, and what a dream start for the Demons.
Well, this fellow with the ball, Matthew Bate, the ball just sticks in his hands. I saw him last week against the Crows, and this mark he took there, bang, vice-like grip on the footy, and what a terrific start. Awkward kicking action, but pretty effective.
Well, what a dream start this would be for the Demons. Directly in front, Bate comes in, and misses. And you'd think, Robert or Luke, early on, Melbourne need to take their chances.
Yeah, it just deflates you, doesn't it, when you couldn't have got a better start. Jeff White's first jump was outstanding, and you get a shot from goal you should kick. Takes the air out of the boys a little bit, that one.
Yes, deflating is the word, isn't it, from a miss there. Bate, who kicked a couple of goals last week. Here's young Goldsack, who made a couple of blues, but Nick Malthouse had enormous faith in his youngsters, and I think we're seeing the benefits of that. Here's the kick up to the wing. Thomas, who had an indifferent week last week. Gee, the Demons are up and running today, aren't they? Sliding forward again. Pettit gets them towards full forward. Neitz almost the infringement, but not quite. Wakeland did it well. Goldsack again involved. Johnson hovering. And the whistle doesn't go either way.
Just watch Wakeland with the spoil there. At the other end of the ground, this is interesting. Dutchy Holland in for Melbourne, playing on Anthony Rocker.
Kept him to 1 goal last year, Rob.
White to the back of the pack. Well done by Johnson. That's Paul Johnson. He hoists it high to the top of the goal square. Neats in the contest. Sylvia almost. He gathers it at ground level. Chops through a couple of tackles. Gets it to Bruce, who couldn't get an effective kick away. Maxwell now relieves the pressure. Here's a chance for the Magpies. Lockyer feeds it back to Wakeland. Great to see him back in the Collingwood side. Not too much to go to, so he just treads water at half-back. Waits for the lead of Rocker versus Holland. Ball to the back. Well done by Ben Holland. In support, Brad Green. Advantage paid as Bell gets it to Bate. Bate now unloads inside, attacking 50. Johnson comes out, can't take it. Robertson and O'Brien. Robertson, was he pushed in the back? No, says the umpire. And it's a throw, free kick to the Magpies, and it'll come back to Harry O'Brien.
Ben Holland would get a great amount of confidence out of that. Collingwood watching the free kick or the throw it's been paid. It wasn't a push in the back, but Ben Holland's first contest on Anthony Rocker, he won it, and that's a good start for him.
Rain tumbling down safely enough. The ball in the arms of Josh Fraser. Cloak looked like he used his body and hands as well, apparently.
Big job for Nathan Carroll at centre half back on Travis Cloak this afternoon.
He's in good form, isn't he, Travis Cloak, in terms of getting the ball, not so accurate in front of goal. The Magpies need to synchronise things a little better there. It's all ahead of James McDonald, and he goes straight ahead. What do you think as a coach when you two defenders do that, Wolsey? Do you worry too much?
Well, it's a good sign and it's a bad sign. Two youngsters, Maxwell and Goldsack, two Magpies flew against one Demon. Should have only been one Magpie up ideally, but they're both pretty keen to get a fist on the footy, but the experience of McDonald stayed down and was able to benefit. And the problem for the Magpies was that they had two players up, two defenders up, and of course McDonald, the experienced player, he stayed down, took the likely crumb and gold.
Rain falling here as White wins another one. Ground level. Lockyer fights hard to try and jar it free. Now Fraser. Effective handball. Now Ben Johnson. Handball back to Pendlebury. Cool under pressure, back to O'Brien. Here's a chance for the Magpies. Short kick, Rocker doesn't get to him, can't handle the slippery footy. Bizzle comes, crunched by Holland, who gathers the footy. Ben Johnson, he had Pendlebury free, but he kicks a goal inside. Collingwood's first foray forward, and Ben Johnson, who is a wonderful converter, was able to nail it from just inside 50.
Yeah, great bit of play from Brodie Holland there. He's obviously had that 6-week spell at the start of the game, but at the start of the season. But to put the hit on Bizzle, it's created an opportunity for Ben Johnson. Going to be a fantastic contest this. Both sides are good tackling teams, and expect plenty of contests right throughout the game.
Melbourne star Cameron Bruce in the goal square. Was for the last centre bounce. Dane Swan, his opponent. I don't think Swan would be all that comfortable back there.
Yeah, interesting call, given that Bruce has been such a playmaker for the Demons. Wolsey, to put him down. We know he can kick goals as well. White and Bate, unfortunate bounce for Bate. Goldsack and Burns able to collaborate, and they're away. Johnson getting the good early feel of the footy, although not so good with the kick there.
No doubt Melbourne kicking with the aid of whatever breeze there is down here too, boys. It's usually swirly, but it was favouring that end on Saturday, certainly favouring it early this game here today.
Well, I've just seen the bottom of your screen there. Chris Bryan's just on. He's going to contest with his own ruckman there, his own teammate in Josh Fraser. So the Magpies getting in each other's way a little bit, but it's all working nicely for them now. Holland, here is Rocker versus Holland. The Demons, he's given away the free, Anthony Rocker. So as you said, Wolsey and Luke, confident start for Ben Holland.
Yeah, good to win the first two contests. That's probably the most important duel in the game, I think. Ben Holland versus Rocker. Holland started really well.
Now Bizzle, just in for his fourth game of the year. Nathan Jones, who's impressed so much. Direct footy. Here's Robertson versus O'Brien again. Robbo trying to mark out his territory today. It's going to be another pivotal battle, you would think. And he's thrown it again. The umpire didn't spot that one, at least gave him a bit of sympathy. Pendlebury, who's also been so impressive. Sylvia had to be careful not to give away a free kick. Bates hurried ball. It's 2-on-2 in there. Wakeland and Neeks, the old veterans, go at it. And here's Bruce with his great dexterity and ability to swing the ball back.
It's a worry. Bruce back there on Dane Swan, and there's also first gamer back there for the Magpies, Danny Stanley. We might get a shot at Danny Stanley shortly. He's in his first game for the Magpies. Heath Shaw still on the bench.
Wobbly old kick by Cloak towards half forward. Eludes Rocker, coming up. Tarkin Lockyer makes it hard. Handball back. Chris Bryan, well done. Socket off the ground, though. It was ill-directed. Fortuitously lands with Pendlebury, who somehow got booked the ball. Davis inside the centre square, uses Fraser, who kicks it wide. Now Didak one-on-one here with Bizzle. Alan Didak, non-preferred kick, looking for Lockyer. He's outnumbered, but tapped to his own advantage. Then his soccer was intercepted by Ward. Off to Wheatley. Now Petard, deep in the back pocket, needs to use it cleverly. And well done, Anthony Rocker. Runs the kick down and forces a boundary throw in deep in the forward pocket for the Magpies.
There's young Stanley, and he's playing half-back flank, back pocket on Colin Sylvia. First gamer.
Heath Shaw just on the ground, Wolsey. Here's Davis. I know how dangerous he is. Got his kicking boot on at the moment too. Ward. Gee, Pendlebury can do most things. And Ben Johnson's kick through for a behind.
Interesting, Hutto. Aaron Davies just come on, and as soon as he came on, Heath Shaw came on as well, and he's running side by side with him at the moment.
So it's been set for him, obviously.
It looks like Shaw's been set for the dangerous Davey. Here they go.
Great work from Didak. Shaw versus Davies. Shaw, intelligent stuff. Fraser now chipping to Thomas, who marks an attacking 50. Chris Bryan is free inside the attacking 50. Thomas hasn't seen him. Dale Thomas, an emerging star, kicking to the goal square. Bryan in a good spot here, doesn't get to him. Lockyer tried to soccer off the ground. Davis is lurking for Collingwood. Green wrapped up by Cloak, going nowhere. The umpire calls for it. Bounce, top of the goal square.
High pressure game to start the first 5 or 6 minutes. The tackling from both sides is enormous, and you've got to earn every kick out there at the moment.
Bryan wins it. Johnson couldn't handle it. Johnson of Collingwood. Umpire McLaren calling for it to be pushed out, but
boys,
he calls for it.
We were checking before the match last year. Davey kicked 3 goals against Melbourne, and Tarkin Lockyer was his opponent for most of the day, but Shaw just had a run on him for 15 minutes late.
Bryant to Fraser. Pendlebury will want his left side. Thomas hoists it high. It's goal, but it's just offline, I think. Yes. 4 behinds last week for Dale Thomas. His first this afternoon.
Melbourne players getting the old-fashioned huddle going out at centre-half back for the Demons. Now Wheatley can kick a long ball. If they break to space, Collingwood haven't filled the spaces.
They break now.
Yeah, it's a great shot of it, isn't it?
Yeah, Davey got away. He's busting a gap to try and get there. Nathan Jones running with him. It's just a little bit greasy. And Davey got just a bit frustrated with his own mistake there, his own slip-up. And Shaw gets the rewards. Ben Johnson running with McLean, it looks like. Gee, there's some good matchups today. Davis waits at the back. Will it slide through Rocker? Gee, that was a fantastic finish. I think it came from Brad Green.
Very disciplined Collingwood in that situation. He had an option down the line, which was Travis Cloak. Looking at the replay here, and Davey just trying to be a little bit too clever in that situation, but they always hit the top of the square, Collingwood, give Anthony Rocker a chance to make a contest for them.
Bizzle now free at half back, kicks towards Bate, who takes it on the bounce. Well done, Maxwell. Read it well. Handball to Davis. Davis now has got Holland loose, goes beyond him. Wasn't a great kick. Carroll was able to intercept, and with the numbers, Melbourne work it through. Ward to Petard. Now Bizzle. A little casual, but got the kick away. Bruce, well done, Swan. But of course, Rob started his career as a half-back flanker, so not necessarily that unaccustomed to playing in defence for the Magpies.
Cameron Bruce, who's playing deep forward, it may well be a move by Neil Danaher to make sure he's got plenty in the tank come the 3rd and 4th quarters. And that's something that Mick Malthouse does especially well.
Another big matchup just away to the left there we saw was Brad Green playing on Pendlebury. No free kick there.
Again, Bruce has pushed inside the forward 50 for the Demons. Swan's gone with him.
Now Ben Johnson manning up on Travis Johnston just to try and confuse everyone, and Ben Johnson getting the feel for it early. Missed a couple of targets, but he's right in the mix. Travis wants it back though. Magpies just handling the terrain a little better than the D's, aren't they, in the last few minutes?
No.
Penalty. Just the wheel just fell away from him and no one could really lay a hand on him. And that's a free to Melbourne.
Well, Chris Bryan, blind Freddie could see that. So Scotty McLaren had no trouble in picking it up.
When's he umpiring next, blind Freddie, was he?
Well, he usually gets a run most weekends.
So Wheatley, the half-back, sweeping handball. Bell, what an outstanding game he played last week, Daniel Bell. Kick from the wing towards half-forward. Bruce and Swan. Swan spoiled it effectively. Sylvia, Bate combining with Bruce. A chance here for the Demons. Bruce, a bounce across half-forward. Long towards Neitz and Wakeland. Wakeland to the back. Chance for Robertson. Will he snap back at goal? He does, but couldn't quite get enough purchase on the ball. And it trickles over for a boundary throw-in. So Melbourne a chance here to score from deep in their forward pocket.
Yeah, it's a good move, Cameron Bruce, forward. We've spoken about it a lot, Dane Swan, his opponent. I hope Neil Danaher holds his nerve and keeps him down there because the quality possessions will result in goals.
To the back by Paul Johnson. Tuvey. Oh, Brody Holland's handball wasn't great. Bruce will kick a goal. No. Gee, we're disappointed with that.
So is Das.
Could see that coming. He hasn't missed one of them in his life before, has he? But he's just so dangerous, isn't he? I mean, you know that he's going to have an impact on the game if they leave him forward.
Well, his man's got away, and you can be sure that Dane Swan will get plenty of the footy if he's given half a sniff. Nathan Carroll versus Chris Bryan. So Bryan brought on, obviously, to give him another target up forward.
Well, they've got three tall forwards, the Magpies. Bryan, Cloak and Rocker. Fraser doing the ruck work.
Just aimed, I think, at just stretching the Melbourne defence.
So Bizzle's gone on to Travis Cloak, as you can see there. Thomas and Swan involved. Hands in the back against Didak. Going to the wrong player.
Now the Magpies have released Dane Swan. They've put him into the midfield, and Heath Shaw's now gone into the back line to play on Cameron Bruce.
So a few changes being made already, as you mentioned there, which is interesting. It's a real tug of war early. This is Sylvia. And there's the young man, Danny Stanley, the 19-year-old, who's a late inclusion for the Magpies. This is Travis Johnston. Ben Holland pushing off Rocker and providing a target for the Demons. Now, he wanted to give it off. He did. He should have been smarter than that. Talk about smart. What about that from Nathan Jones? The kick none too smart, though.
I think it's a mark.
It is to Robertson. He plays on and kicks a goal. Well, you've got to be aware, don't you, at all times. And the Magpie defence works.
Harry O'Brien in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, he's down.
He's done his shoulder, I think.
So, have a look at this pickup. It was a bad handball, but Nathan Jones, one hand, spin out of trouble. That's just sensational play.
I think it's his right shoulder, Rob.
I think they're another defender down now, the Magpie. He's done his shoulder.
Yeah.
You could see him clutch for it, couldn't you, Wolsey, in that replay? Went straight for the right shoulder as before he'd even hit the ground, and he was writhing in pain. He's in real trouble. Look at that. It's dislocated badly.
Well, Harry O'Brien's in trouble. Collingwood's in trouble because there's no Prestigiacomo, no Clement, and Reece Shaw's not playing. Heath Shaw is playing. He's got a crook leg, and now they've lost O'Brien.
Okay, so Melbourne, big chance here. Stripped of the ball was Green. Well done, Heath Shaw. Burns a chance, keeps the arms clear. Handball off to Danny Stanley. Wouldn't this be fantastic if he could kick a goal with his first kick? Davis at the back. Where's the free kick going to go? Another Melbourne free kick in the defensive 50. Hands in the back, Cloak, Bryan and also Rocker being penalised in the early stages. Travis Johnston now at half-back for Melbourne.
And of course, Collingwood are one down at the moment. Finally, they make the change. Pendlebury comes back on. Just as Nathan Jones gallivanting along half-forward to Sylvia. Had to stand his ground firmly. He did. Plenty of options open up. This is straight out of the Melbourne paint. One in their playbook. David Neitz on the lead. And now they need him to convert. And Mick Malthouse has got some things to think about, Das.
Yeah, he certainly has. As you can see him pretty animated there on the phone. But just the signs are so good for Melbourne at the moment. Colin Sylvia there with a contested mark. He started the game really well. And if you get that sort of delivery as a forward, you're in for a good day.
15 goals for the year from David Neitz. You can see that all the players just struggling a little bit with their kicking. and that is a behind. So Melbourne have had a few opportunities, as have Collingwood. 2-4-16 to 1-3-9.
Shaw at fullback. Wide. Oh, gee, it's very wide. Thomas will need to be good here. He's got to beat a couple and decides to do the right thing and take it over. Hair a bit shorter this afternoon, Dale Thomas, for the Queen's birthday clash.
We think he's done it for the Queen, do you?
Oh, who knows? Paul Johnson takes it out, all cleverly done, off to Travis Johnston. Travis Johnston normally is very clever, and he has kicked a goal. Great stuff from Johnston. Melbourne have another.
It's a strange old reaction there, wasn't it? No one seemed quite sure whether it was a goal or
Yeah, it
not.
obviously snuck in, but you have a look at that by Paul Johnson.
Gee.
That actually demoralises your opponent a bit. He's plucked that with one hand, fed it off to Travis Johnson and set up a goal. And I know that the next contest you go for as a ruckman, you hate seeing that happen to you.
Neither side have been great with the clearances this year, but boy, what a decisive one that was, producing Melbourne's third goal.
Too early, Scotty!
Against Burns, and it's coming back to Brock McLean in the middle. Scotty Burns playing his just about in career best touch, which seems amazing at his age, but it's all Melbourne at the moment. Godfrey's got a man loose in the pocket, and Robertson, of course, has got a new opponent, young Danny Stanley, and he'll be licking his lips.
He just got a great block, Wolsey, Russell Robertson from Aaron Davey. Really unselfish play. Paul Johnson again there getting his hand to the ball. He's had two fantastic contests, the last two against Josh Fraser, and Russell Robertson, he got 10 metres from a great block from Aaron Davey.
Fifth game of the year only for Russell Robertson, and I reckon it's a goal. It is. It's his second of the match and his 11th of the season. And the Demons, haven't they bounced away?
Well, they've taken 4 marks inside their forward 50, Melbourne. Collingwood yet to take a mark inside their forward 50. And the other thing Collingwood are doing when they go forward is they're giving away free kicks, the hands in the back, something that they haven't adjusted to well today in this first term.
Well, was it touched on the line? Josh Fraser. There's the long kick from Robertson. The umpire, is he in good position there to tell or not, actually?
Yeah, that little bloke with the mo is one of the best, Hutto, so I wouldn't dispute it.
Okay.
Fraser wins this one. The Burns goes back in and gets the footy. Handball is a good one. Releases Thomas. Good chase though by Travis Johnston. He tried to give the handball to Brian, but Brian had come to him. Thomas goes back in after the football, but Carroll's equal to the task. Spills to Johnston. Now McLean. Melbourne away again. Brock McLean towards half forward. Robertson against Stanley.
Hands in the back again.
I'd much rather see Maxwell or even perhaps Tuvey on Russell Robertson, just with the height.
I think Maxwell's the player who should be on Robertson. Robertson's already kicked 2 goals, and that's a first gamer. It's a definite free kick. Maxwell is very good in the air at spoiling, and of course Robertson plays taller than he actually is.
Kick towards Bate, and Bate marks, uncontested. And the Collingwood defence in complete disarray at the moment.
You've summed it up, Chriso, and as a former Magpie defensive coach, it must be tearing your heart out because this fella, he's got sticky fingers, we know that, but they're just not getting a fist on the footy. And there's well, that Goldsack's attempt was a mile off.
So Matthew Bate missed an early opportunity, but a chance here from 15 metres. He doesn't miss this one, and Melbourne are streaking away. It's important. Collingwood have got to get the matchups in their defence right, and probably more importantly, Luke, they've got to compete.
Yeah, spot on, Chris. I think that passage of play was actually set up from about a 25-metre chase from Travis Johnson. He ran down Dale Thomas. That's such a good sign. Travis Johnson is an offensive player. They're doing the hard things. They're competing. They're putting a lot of pressure on Collingwood, and it's resulting in scores.
Right on the footy when it's down.
Matthew Bate, just one of many Melbourne forwards that have been enjoying this opening 20 minutes or so. The Magpies are rattled, particularly in defence. Free kicks are 8-2. They're not. Here's Jeff White going forward as well.
Jeff White's come on to stretch the Collingwood defence. Remember, no Clement, no Presti, no Harry O'Brien. They are in big strife.
And the Demons are surging out of the middle to give those forwards. Look at them, they're lining up. 1, 2, 3. Robertson takes the mark.
Well, I'm looking at Michael Christian and he's shaking his head.
Don't give him up.
You're the Collingwood coach. What would you do? You know those Collingwood defenders. Who would you have on Robertson?
I think I'd certainly have Alan Tuvey. Maxwell's got to go to White because White's been there, but I think Alan Tuvey's a bloke for Russell Robertson.
Well, here is Russell Robertson for his third of the afternoon, and they are hot.
As we look at the kick from Johnston, Alan Tuvey, you can see him in the foreground there. He at the moment is on Aaron Davey. And Tuvey played most of last year with Williamstown at half-back. But, gee, this Melbourne side are dominating out of the centre, and their forwards are playing some very good football at the moment.
It's a tough caper, AFL, and young Danny Stanley, number 28 there. It's his first game of AFL. He's from the Geelong under-18s. That's fantastic that Wakeland comes out to give him some encouragement. He's playing on one of the hottest forwards in the game at the moment. Robertson was good last week, sensational in this first quarter with 3.
Bryan wins it out, but again at ground level, Melbourne dominating. A handball from McLean, though, was astray. James McDonald had to go and get it, and he did. McLean back to White. His kick out, McDonald, well done. Here they go again. Peddard off the bell. They've got runners through the midfield. One of them's McLean. He drills it in low and hard onto Johnson's chest. I tell you what, this is the sort of football I think many experts thought Melbourne would be playing right from round 1. We saw a blistering second quarter from them last week against the Crows, in which they kicked 8 goals to 1. And they're replicating it here this afternoon with Paul Johnson lining up for Melbourne's 7th goal. From 45 metres. He misses to the left, so a reprieve for the Magpies.
Well, we're speaking about the Collingwood defence being under pressure. The reason why they are is that it's 13 inside 50s to 8, and there is no pressure coming on the midfield. They're getting free space, the Melbourne midfielders, and they're always going to do damage when you've got time and space.
That's a great point, Das. And the kids down there, they've got Stanley's playing his first game, Goldsack in his 4th, Tuvey in his 8th, Maxwell a veteran of 57 games.
Collingwood forwards giving away free kicks. There's one to Didac, one against Bryan before, and there's another one against Rocker into the back of Holland. That is just undisciplined football.
Let it run.
Bryan.
It's a shocking rule, but you've got to play by it.
Jeff White trying to gain yards. Everything pretty much going the Demons' way at this stage. The Magpies just trying to get their hands on the footy and find some teammates. Wakeland to Holland. Heath Shaw was circling, trying to get involved as well. Travis Cloak pushing up through the middle. Ben Johnson has been probably their best player so far. He's coming in for possession number 7. To Burns. Melbourne have been able to get numbers back though. Green standing right in the middle of the 50 as the loose man, as they try and funnel it through the half-forward flank. Rocker. Ben Holland right there with him. Well done from Tuvey. Gives Didac a chance on his wrong side. Gee, the odds against Leon Davis here. Wheatley able to shuffle it out. Ward. Sylvia running for him. McLean's another option on the wing. It doesn't fall exactly for him. And he's sure able to mop up. And the Magpies have got a few options through centre half forward here. Tuvey. Holland. Dane Swan. Burns is on. If he can just release it. So is Leon Davis. Ben Johnson. He might go back and have a shot.
That's the important one, to get a mark inside 50. Ben Johnson, he should be able to kick this, but they did that well, Collingwood. 4 or 5 possessions of the footy, and Burns, who's having a ripper season, the veteran Magpie midfielder, he's the one who eventually gets the short pass set up. And boy, do they need this.
Ben Johnson, 6'6" for the year. That was their first mark inside 50. Melbourne have had 7. It's a shocking looking kick, but they all count.
So Ben Johnson breaking a run of 5 consecutive Melbourne goals. And the Magpies worked it out pretty well. Just got to get their hands on the footy, as you've said, Luke, and try and make something of it.
Wolsey and Das, you talk about the problems Collingwood's having up the other end of the ground. They've only got Thomas, Lockyer, or Fraser's just come back. They have got no defensive flexibility at all on the bench.
Let him run, Brucey.
Well, looking at Chris Bryant, I don't think he can play back there. He's a bigger fella. Pendlebury perhaps could, but then they miss so much of his midfield drive. Yeah, they're in big trouble.
So Fraser won that one, and there's the Collingwood bench. Tarkin Lockyer having a break. He, of course, has played a lot in defence over the years. This year cast in a midfield role. Burns fighting hard. The centre clearance king. Still he fights. Tuvey wrapped up or robbed of the ball by Sylvia. He's kicked towards half forward. Oh, brilliant pick up by Neitz. The handball off to Davey. Davey drills it low and hard. And yes, Paul Johnson again.
Well,
putting a handful up forward as well.
It's a move, Chriso, that's paid off. It's not all that often you see the 2 ruckmen on the ground at the one time, but Neil Danaher realises that Collingwood defence is under pressure, particularly with size, so he's kept his second ruckman out there, whether it be White in the goal square or Johnson.
So Paul Johnson here missed an opportunity a few moments ago, and this time just drags it to the right. He missed last time to the left, so he lets the Magpies off the hook there. And as we get close to quarter time, 27.5 minutes in, and the Demons lead by 27.
He's only kicked 2 goals in his career, Paul Johnson, and had a couple of opportunities gone begging there. Now, Brodie Holland, only been averaging about 70 minutes a game, so still hasn't really found his best form after that late start to the year. Medhurst trying to get involved. We know Chris Bryant can give it a fair roost. Rockers' best chance. Almost. Davis sliding through. No free though. Wanted it in the back. Still alive. Sylvia. He might be gone here. No.
Only a minute and a half to go in the first quarter, Hutto, and Anthony Rocker yet to have a disposal here. He might have been a touch unlucky there because Ben Holland's got a couple of hands wrapped around his arm there. He might have deserved a free kick there, Anthony Rocker.
As long as the hands aren't in the back though, Luke.
Comes to O'Brien, 40 metres from goal. Gee, there's a lot of players around it. Couldn't get an effective handball. Oh, Frawley's dispossessed. What will the umpire do here? Still no free kick. Davis a chance. Burns is hard and tough in the contest. A chance now for Melbourne to clear it. It's held up, and still the umpire calls for it. We've seen in round 11 a number of hot holding the ball decisions, but we haven't seen any today. The umpire has elected to call for it on most occasions. Rocker up, straight to Frawley, immediately tackled by Burns, and the umpire will call for it again, 45 metres from Collingwood's goal.
Well, Neil Danaher's got numbers down there, as you can see. He's desperate to make sure the Magpies don't get a goal before the quarter-time break.
Won this time by Wheatley, only as far as Swan. He kicks around the body. Out comes Holland. Going back with courage was Sylvia, couldn't handle it. McLean couldn't either. Now Shaw, Fraser around the body, bouncing to Bizzle. He's pushed off it by Medhurst. Good pressure coming from the Collingwood forwards, and Davey runs it over. Boundary throwing deep in the Collingwood right forward pocket with 49 seconds left on the clock.
Take a little bit of discipline here. We know Melbourne are pushing numbers back because it's late in the quarter, but if they're going to score, they've got to create some space here, Collingwood.
Still basically one-on-one, isn't it? All those numbers inside the 50. James Frawley. He's been touching the footy now. Is that dropping the ball? No. Nathan Jones cleared it away. Well done by Neitz. Bruce, 30 seconds to really sting. Just had to shrug off his man. Sylvia rushed it, but it might fall for Johnson. Oh, he misjudged it. And there's a big opportunity at both ends gone begging. Stanley versus Bate. He'll try and get it to the line. Free kick and advantage paid. Well done. He had Dane Swan in support.
Got 10 seconds, yeah. The Pies.
Well, Brian, he could almost kick a goal from about 85 out if he can just get the footy. Time's going to beat him. And a wonderful opening turn by the D's. Look at that, 12 scoring shots to 5. The damage could have even been greater than 27 points. Plenty for Mick Malthouse to think about.
Yeah, there's heaps for him to think about. As you said, Hutto, full credit to Melbourne, because they just looked like they came here absolutely switched on. Their intensity around the footy at the start of the game was outstanding. They're the leading tackle side in the competition, and they put a lot of pressure on. Harry O'Brien's gone down with a shoulder injury, and that just threw Collingwood's defence into total chaos. They've got the first gamer in Stanley playing on Russell Robertson. He's kicked 3 goals in the first quarter. They need to get their hands on the ball in the midfield if they're going to get back into this contest.
D's by 27. Holiday footy from the MCG.
So second quarter about to get underway. There's David Neitz and Mick Malthouse showing great faith in his younger players. Danny Stanley still with the job on Russell Robertson. There's Rocker and Holland. And Josh Fraser to contest this centre bounce with Jeff White. Demons by 27 as we get the second quarter underway. Fraser down to O'Brien. Well done. Good desperate stuff though by Jones, who shovels it out. Ben Johnson at ground level. Swan trying to get it towards Holland. Still a disputed ball. Spills now to O'Brien, who kicks around the body. Pethard coming after it. Coming up is Medhurst, but Bizzle does it very well. Feeds it back to Carroll, who could get the handball away quickly and did to Pethard. Back to Jones, and now Wheatley and Melbourne think their way through it very cleverly. Daniel Bell, oh, he's in trouble. He's in real trouble. Given a long time to get rid of it, but he got the handball out to Green, off to White. And the kick wide to Bate. Little push out by Heathshaw. Up comes Neitz. He charges through. Handball back to Ward. Ward off a step. Kicks inside. Attacking 50. And the mark's taken by Bruce.
And Medhurst lost his jumper in a bit of a wrestle with Nathan Jones out on the wing while all that was happening. But, gee, it's a worry. And this is what happened. A little bit of push and shove there. And the Demons are not taking a backward step, that's for sure. And 2 will always beat 1, Das.
So Cameron Bruce, who spent most of this game inside the forward 50. Oh, it's a wobbly old kick. Lands in the goal square and off hands through for behind. He'll be disappointed with that, Cameron Bruce.
Just shanked a couple of kicks today, Cameron Bruce, which is most unlike him. His opponent, Tyson Goldsack, only played a handful of games. That is a huge job for him to play defence on Cameron Bruce.
3 goals, 4 from set shots, the Demons. Both sides have had their problems with their kicking so far. Bruce has kicked 3 behind. Might get another chance now, though. Doesn't have a shot even there. Wasn't really that great contact by Bruce and hung a long time in the air. Gave the Collingwood defence every chance of being able to clear the danger, although it looks like it's going to come straight back. James McDonald with time and numbers on his side. Travis Johnston, bit of a stare-off with Lockyer. And then he too kicks pretty poorly because there's all sorts of Magpie defenders back there. Heathshaw for Holland. Magpie gives Aaron Davey a warning. Could have been 50, but coming the members' side. Wakeland will look up and see a host of one-on-ones. Lockyer working hard, so too Pendlebury. It's set for Lockyer, who's enjoying a terrific season, as you mentioned, Chriso. Some freedom in the midfield at last. Didak hits it hard. Bell with him. Just not long enough.
He's a terrific player, Didak, and Bell's a good opponent. I like Daniel Bell as a footballer, but he's got a big job today on Alan Didak, all-Australian half-forward.
Good move from Cloak. And, well, Carroll came late. It was effective enough. Ward, Wheatley. Good to see him back playing consistent senior football. And here is Bell. As you mentioned, Walls, he played every game this year, so at last has really found his and consolidated his place in the Melbourne lineup.
Just needed to hold that mark, did Travis Cloak. Kick was perfect.
Pendlebury and Goldsack over the top. Now Ben Johnson. Davis. Deep again. Oh, was the hands in the back there from Rocker?
Well, he's done it again. He's done it again. He's frustrated. The umpire in perfect position. Let's have a look at it. Hands in the back. Yeah, they're in the back.
He's given away 4 free kicks, Anthony Rocker, today.
So Carroll into the back pocket. Jones has been busy. From half-back, delivers towards Bizzle. Well done, Goldsack. Cut the angle. And still no free kick. Collingwood fans getting a little frustrated. But a boundary throw in the attacking side of the wing for the Magpies.
Luke, from here on, Collingwood have to dominate the clearances, because if they don't, the ball will keep going into Melbourne's forward line, and that inexperienced Collingwood defence will be under the pump.
And I think the player they look to is Scott Burns. He's just been enormous again this year, so they'll go back to their older brigade. Brodie Holland's going to step up. start winning the ball around the contest. As you said, it's their best chance of getting back into the game.
Free kicks are 10-4. We just saw that stat a minute ago. Collingwood have done well 5 times this year. They've been behind at quarter time and won the game. So there's some hope for Magpie fans.
Johnston towards half forward. Oh, he's sure. Spectacular leap and spectacular markets, and he come back after missing most of last week's game with a badly corked thigh.
Well, his brother says he's the best defender in the game.
Ben Johnson long towards half forward. Lockyer tries to push Pettard out of the way. Davey support now. Ward, gee, they're combining well in defence of the Demons. Johnston now Davey away, kicks it short. Goldsack over the top again, affects the spoil. Holland loops the handball back to Shaw. Now Ben Johnson, take 2. This time he threads the handball through. It wasn't a great handball. Swan had to work for it. Eventually gathered, but his kick was ineffective. Tuvey back to O'Brien. Now he gets clear. Shane O'Brien kick inside, attacking 50. Carroll in a good spot. Fist from Bell. Out wide, Holland and Rocker. Holland goes to ground, but gee, he can't beat 3, and Pettard relieves the pressure to Bizzle. Off to Ward, and the Demons out of trouble.
Here's Wheatley. He looks up, sees mainly Collingwood jumpers, so he has to try and improvise, which he does very effectively. There's Jones weaving his way through the logo. Set for Green. Now it's open up forward. All he had to do is beat his man, which sounded a lot easier than it turned out to be. Well done, Maxwell, but he was outnumbered hopelessly. He didn't give in, but here's Neitz. Oh, the pass from Sylvia. I think everyone expected him to take it. Davey to pounce. Out wide to Bruce. So they're doing it hard here, the Demons, to try and get it to goal. He might give it to his mate, who was flying past Brad Green. Well, the man on the mark, Heath Shaw, left the mark. Another shank from Bruce. And that time the mark taken cleanly with no free kick by Dane Swan.
Gee, they can come off the boot at all angles with Cameron Bruce.
So Heath Shaw at half back, chips it over the top to Swan. Loops the handball now to Lockyer. He's got Tuvey short, goes beyond him towards Cloak. Cloak and Bizzle. Travis Cloak used his body well. Onto the left boot, wobbles it inside, attacking 50. Medhurst pushed off, couldn't take the mark. Holland keeps it in, chance for Bell. He's dispossessed by Didat, who uses O'Brien. Inside attacking 50. The reverse torpedo. Rocker and Holland. Rocker got one hand to it, not the second. Tried to tap it to Davis. That was ineffective. It's 4-on-2 down there. And the Magpies do pretty well just to hold it up for a second. But in the end, Jones relieves the pressure. And it's a good kick marked by Pettard.
Just a couple of injuries inside 50, Hutto, for Collingwood have been really poor. I mean, Anthony Rocker's had it sat right on top of his head, just favouring Ben Holland at every occasion. They need to give him some sort of chance to his advantage.
They're on more level playing terms, though, aren't they, through the general play of the Magpies? So they have lifted. Holland goes to Rocker and Holland again.
Oh, Anthony chases it.
He's battling at the moment. Ben Holland has him covered. He's a bit nervous about that, though. Was there a free kick? No, there wasn't. And Ben Holland...
Anthony's exhausted. He can't get up.
Goes to Carroll and back to Wheatley. He's saying that with a smile. Right?
Well, he's look at him in the background. He's hands on knees. He has 2 or 3 contests and the big fella just blows so hard.
Green for McDonald, and he can go to Bizzle. Bizzle's got his hands full this afternoon with Travis Cloak. That's one matchup that looks like it could be exploited by the Magpies if they can get it to him enough.
Luke, do you think Neil Danaher might be thinking we've gone 8 minutes in this second quarter without getting a goal? We've just got to take advantage of our domination early in this game, because the Eagles, great Mark Neitz, but the Eagles and Hawthorn led early and ended up getting beaten, just didn't kill off the opposition.
Here's Robbo! Almost. McLean. Still the Magpie fans don't feel like they're getting the run with the umpires. And still the umpire lets the players try and sort it out. Nathan Jones buried. Frustration's being shown by some of the Collingwood players as well.
Travis Johnston sitting down.
Yeah, taking himself off with the right hamstring, Chriso.
Oh, gee, that's bad news for Melbourne. Sylvia wins this one out towards Godfrey. Somehow he got rid of it. Slick little handball. In fact, too slick for Jones from Davey. Now Collingwood. O'Brien got it from Johnson. No one to go to, so he kicks to the boundary line. Now this will be interesting. It's called deliberate.
Anthony Rocker off for a spell.
Called deliberate. So a free kick to the Demons.
Do you agree, Chriso?
Wheatley, yes, long to half forward. Big fist this time from Maxwell at the full. Godfrey looking for a handball, decides to go himself with the right boot, if you don't mind. It's goal! He's kicked a beauty, Simon Godfrey. Oh, gee, Melbourne are playing over the top of Collingwood at the moment. The Magpies in disarray. And perhaps a little lucky, the free kick, but after that, they moved it pretty well. And Simon Godfrey, a great kick on his non-dominant side.
Yeah, with all due respect to Simon Godfrey, I don't think he would have kicked too many right footers on the run under a bit of pressure. We've had Cameron Bruce, who I reckon is a highly skilled player, shanking them. Well done, Simon Godfrey.
Well, let's have a look at this deliberate out of bounds.
Is that deliberate? Melbourne players are screaming for it. The umpire agrees.
He was under pressure when he kicked it, wasn't he?
The words, I think there was no Collingwood player inside, and that was what probably brought him undone.
And a Collingwood free kick, and you can hear the reaction from the crowd.
If you're a Melbourne supporter, I reckon you know you're going to win the game when Simon Godfrey kicks a non-preferred side goal. I'm not knocking him because I love him. He's an Eastern Suburbs boy. But he has never kicked a goal on his right foot in his life.
You know that, do you, Rob?
I do.
Yeah.
I watch him closely.
He's kicked 20 goals in his career now. Here's Medhurst, who won a few Collingwood hearts last week with one particular passage of play, a real courageous riding of a bump, and was able to get it off to Didak, who converted for a goal.
Still think the Collingwood supporters and the Collingwood coaches box would think if we get enough clear ball inside 50, we've still a chance to win this game. It just hasn't happened. They got one, and Medhurst has got a shot on goal.
He's kicked 7 goals, 3 for the year, over 170 in his career, so he knows how to do it. And there's another example.
Such an important kick, wasn't it, to answer the Melbourne goal more or less straight away. And it came from just the second Collingwood mark inside their forward 50. Melbourne's taken 10.
Paul Medhurst, his first of the afternoon, and Collingwood back to a 28-point deficit. Melbourne controlling things at the moment. Fraser to do battle with Paul Johnson. Favours Johnson. Oh, he thumps it 30 metres. Worth a kick almost towards half forward. Pendlebury tracks back and concedes ground back to Maxwell. Gave it to Burns, who was under the pump, so forced to give it back to Maxwell. Holland had to kick it very quickly, but kicked it to the advantage of Heath Shaw. He's wrapped up in a tackle. Pendlebury ducks the head. Melbourne have the numbers on the half-forward flank. Tackled by Tuvey on bait. All pushing the back. Advantage paid as Jones kicks towards half-forward. Thomas needs to be brave here, and he is. Strong mark going back with the flight by Dale Thomas. He emerges from half-back, wobbles the kick, but it's effective, and the mark taken by Lockyer.
So the Collingwood forward line moving. Cloak is the long option. Medhurst and Didak a bit closer. Cloak hit it hard. No free kick. You can hear the reaction again of the crowd, and this time they get what they wanted. They were baying for blood.
Good effort by Travis Cloak, Hutto. Second effort, absolutely first rate. He was the one who went for the big fly, but he got himself up and put some pressure on with a tackle. There's a shot of Ben Johnson, 26 for Collingwood. He's been moved into the back line. That helps shore up a very inexperienced defence. Good coaching by Mick Malthouse.
Set shots 8-14,
yes.
Travis Cloak.
12-18 for the year in total. But he's kicked some good ones in amongst those terrible misses, and that is a very good one. Seems like the further out from goal he is, the more comfortable he is.
Just looking at his action, he's actually got a very straight up and down action. I think his drop sometimes just goes astray, and he can shake him. Kicking your first one is a really big confidence booster, and when he goes back, you can see his style. He lifts it up a little bit higher, but when he drops it well, it tends to go straight.
And I think sometimes just gets caught trying to kick it a little bit too hard. Nice and relaxed kick there from Travis Cloak. So,
Luke, the Magpies have had 3 clearances from centre bounces in this quarter. Melbourne none, and they need to do that so that the ball doesn't get in on that inexperienced Magpie defence.
this time it's a clearance for Melbourne as McDonald kicks it out of the centre. Bouncing it half forward. Thomas does well. Attacks the footy hard. And Dale Thomas from half back kicks it again towards Lockie, who gathers it cleverly on the bounce. He grubbers it along the ground. Didak tries to keep it in and does intelligently. Knocks it towards Travis Cloak. And now it goes over, but Didak gained about 25 metres and has given Collingwood another chance as this boundary throw-in will occur 45 metres around from their goal. Anthony Rocker set to come back on. Fraser and Paul Johnson. Fraser wins it. Well done McLean, he sharked it. Just knocked off the ball as he kicked. And as a consequence, it slewed off the side of the boot. And Travis Cloak will take the free kick.
Interesting that Rocker is coming back on, Wallsy. They look more lively in the last couple of minutes since the change.
Bangs it to the top of the goal square. Medhurst in a good spot. Fist coming from Frawley. Johnson's handball ineffective. Melbourne got plenty of numbers there. And well done, young James Frawley. He runs from defence and kicks it intelligently to Wheatley, who marks in the centre of the ground.
They want to move on at all costs. You can see it is sometimes costly. And Dale Thomas does everything with a flourish. Out for Pendlebury, his mate. He can set sail. Just got to get over Paul Johnson, which is no easy task.
Gee, Medhurst was screaming for it from Pendlebury from the exact spot that he kicked that goal 5 minutes ago. He was by himself.
Petted in the back pocket, and at the moment he's not sure what to do. He might, no, he doesn't concede. Goes for Frawley. No free kick. Well done by Maxwell. Medhurst does get his chance. Pendlebury got good vision. Medhurst needed vision and more then to try and get clear. Davey, good body work on Tuvey. Ward, now Davey again. And it's Bizzle emerging at half back. He looks up and sees plenty of space for his forwards to work in. Can't get it to him with any style at all. Tough for Sylvia. Brian, it's a throw from Burns. The umpire was in the wrong spot to spot it. And the Magpies were able to come away. So things looking up for Collingwood just for the moment as Davis goes forward.
Kicks towards the leader, Fraser, over his head, boundary throw. Free kick, in fact. So just all of a sudden, Collingwood have got a couple of 50-50 free kicks.
Looking lively, aren't they?
Squaring the ledger up.
I just feel like the momentum swung their way a bit. I mean, it was a tackle Chris Bryan laid in the centre square before, which is outstanding. Nick Maxwell spoiled.
Fair beanie from Joffa, Rob.
Joffa.
Do you like that?
It's a tea cosy.
Josh Fraser, you would think too far out to score from 55. Drop punt on its way. It's a wonderful kick off the boot as it got the carry. No, Melbourne are able to knock it through. And a behind for the Magpies.
Been terrific, I think, Collingwood, you know, with the players that they've had out. At the same time, Melbourne's had that problem for most of this season, so they know what it's like. Big line of players down the middle. Terrific shot by our cameraman, breaking out into space. Wheatley should be able to hit one easily.
And Davey's a go-to man every time in that situation because there is no one in the league that can keep up with him when he spreads at that sort of pace.
The loss of Travis Johnston shouldn't be underestimated too. He has done a hamstring, as Andrew suggested. He was in pretty good touch today with 9 possessions. Oh, the Demons might come unstuck again. Yes, they will. And it's the smooth-moving penalty.
Free player.
Didak off his wrong boot. Travis Cloak, even he couldn't miss this one. I might have spoken too soon, but you wouldn't think he could miss this one. And all of a sudden, the Magpies are right back in the mix here.
Gee, Pendlebury's a smart player. Drew 2 and then got the handball out to Didak.
He couldn't miss it.
Oh, no.
A second floor. The closer he is to goal, the more nervous you get. Not enough steps, I don't think.
No,
Just poked at
just a couple of steps and onto the boot. So Melbourne are lucky there as McDonald kicks it back to Wheatley. And Wheatley just indicating to slow down. Let's try and...
Well, there's a long way to go between now and half-time. 6 minutes.
I think he's just suggesting let's just maintain possession for a few minutes just to try and work our way back into it, despite the fact they actually lead by 20 points. Collingwood have just...
Luke, your full-back, Brian Harris, took about 20 marks on the weekend. None of them contested.
Oh, So a couple of errors by Travis Cloke there in the space of a minute. Lets Melbourne back in. McLean. Oh, gee, somehow he got around Davis. Off to Johnson. Pressure coming from Leon Davis. It stays in. Gee, this would be really cruel if Melbourne were able to score a goal from here. Kick towards Robertson. Couldn't hold on. Chance at the fall of the ball. Oh, almost. Bell soccer. Danny Stanley. Superb stuff. The first gamer knocks it through for a rush behind.
Well, the two inexperienced players there, Chris. So Danny Stanley, great contest. And Tyson Goldstack, he had a one-on-one with Russell Robertson and did the job. Well done.
Burns charges up. Now this is Johnson. Away to centre half forward. Wheatley had to turn around quickly. Hands in the back. I think KB was saying that there's only about 1.5 free kicks a game for hands in the back on average. This game has been well and truly above that.
Just an above average game, Anthony.
Jeff White. 7-8 to 4-5. So 4.5 minutes for the Melbourne side to negotiate. McDonald, a little dodgy into the middle. Bell has found himself a lot further up the ground. Neitz is inside 51 out with Wakelin. I don't know why you wouldn't just get it down to him quickly. Eventually he agrees, but by then the Magpie defence had just about covered him. Not quite. And there's Ben, there's Maxwell.
Is that deliberate? No.
No,
Yes!
No, umpire.
No, not when you're under that sort of pressure.
He's caught in the middle of 6 players.
Well, it was direct. In fairness, it was directly to the boundary line.
Well,
Yeah, in fairness, it was, Hutto, but you just don't like to see that paid. I mean, it's
it's a pressure situation.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but I guess the question is whether it's by the rules or not. So Russell Robertson, he's got it on line. Timely.
Yeah, you can just see Nick Maxwell there. He's shaking his head in frustration a bit at that decision. Technically, we probably all know that he wanted to kick it somewhere near the boundary, but as a feel for the game thing, you just want to see those let go. You want to see the game be a pure contest, and you hope they are on the side of not paying them. That's just the way I feel about it.
Don't criticise the umpires, Luke. Have another look at it. What's your decision?
Well, if he kicks it straight ahead, he kicks it into 3 Melbourne players, doesn't he? Oh, it's a tough one.
Back in the centre, Melbourne. Very handy goal against the run of play. Holland now. Holland for Collingwood. High towards half forward. Bell going back. Couldn't take it. Bizzle comes up and did well. Broke one tackle. Got it to Pettard. Now McDonald. Melbourne surging again as he kicks high to half forward. Maxwell and Neitz. Well done, Maxwell. The fist over the line. And the Collingwood fans say, what about that umpire? Umpire McLaren says, throw it in.
David Neitz has played well out from the goal square. He's outside 50 there, and that's where he spent most of this first half.
Well, White was brought down by Bryant. Well done by Jones. Knocks to his own advantage. Burns lost his feet, but gathers the footy. Handballs it back towards Brodie Holland, who kicks around the body. Now, Lockyer's got to beat a couple here, Tarkin Lockyer. Needs to be clean with his hands. He did enough, though, to allow Swan to arrive. Swan's handball back towards Lockyer. Good chase from Wheatley. Ward. And he knocks it over. Is that deliberate? Yes! Oh, they Holland are deliberate. Up by McLaren. It's play on. Dane Swan now.
Caught in the moment, I reckon. Swan goes heading towards goal. Fraser's down there, and so is Carroll. Oh, Fraser! That is a miracle mark.
What a mark! And copper headbutt.
And I copped hands in the back from Chriso.
Do you reckon Scotty McLaren got caught up in the moment and go back to have a look at this mark?
That's an
unbelievable mark.
And Fraser kicks the goal. And things are heating up considerably here at the MCG on a very cold winter's day.
Yeah, well done, Josh Fraser. I mean, he stood there in the goal square, Hutto, and he just didn't move. He said, I want to look at this deliberate out of bounds. The umpires have gone berserk on this today. Maybe that one was probably there. But Josh Fraser, he stood there. He said, I want a one-on-one contest. Nathan Carroll's a good one-on-one player, and that's just a super effort. And doesn't that make your teammates just grow around you and lift? Great wrestle. I don't know how he did it, but well done. It's a great effort.
So the Magpies get one back. Margin 21 points. Fraser and Carroll
You don't see Josh Fraser. He doesn't say much out in the field, Josh Fraser, and you can just see at the moment he's vocal. He knows it's a big game for his side, and good to see him getting into it.
I've seen him go too. Nathan, better watch out. One down by White. Burns.
Did he belt you one back?
Yeah, he did actually. And O'Brien's wrapped up, so we'll get a bounce.
Got to get a better second half out of Anthony. Anthony has not had a kick, mark or handball, given away 4 free kicks, so it's got to be plus in the second half for the Pies with the skipper.
He's had a few games, Wolsey, this year. He's turned it around in the second half, Rocker.
Davis, a little toe poke, only as far as McLean. Oh, great tackle, Burns. And again, he was given plenty of time to get it out, but he did. Numbers with the Magpies. Bryan flicks it out to Wakeland on the left boot. A chance here for Fraser, but through the hands of Petto. Rocker handball was good. Lockyer's got Pendlebury free. Goes it all alone and kicks another one for the Pies. And Collingwood now just starting to work their way into it. The margin back to 15 points. At its worst, it was 34 at the 10-minute mark of this quarter.
Just got to love Scott Burns, don't you, Woolsey? I mean, he just sees the occasion, lays a tackle and runs about 15 metres when no one else is prepared to do it. And he's the one that sets up this play. Lockyer's been in great form this season and great finisher as always. Collingwood are back.
Well, amazing, isn't it? They are within 15 points in a game in which really Melbourne have dominated. But the fighting spirit of Collingwood throughout this season has been absolutely sensational. They will fight to the death, the Magpies. Clearances dominating by the Magpies, and they needed to have that in this quarter.
I wonder if Cameron Bruce might play a more prominent role in the midfield. Here comes Neitz. Long way from home. Godfrey, the right foot goal kicker from earlier. Here's Robbo again. Didn't take it. Cameron Bruce, he's missed some easy ones. And that is his 4th behind, I think.
Gee, Darcy was a great spoil from young Danny Stanley then on Robertson.
Yeah, the young blokes down back have really improved, haven't they? Tyson Goldsack's had a good quarter and Stanley's done a really good job as well.
Holland now off to Ben Johnson, arguably Collingwood's best. Coming in for his 14th disposal, Ben Johnson. Pokes it wide. Swan just had the proper weight, gave Bizzle every possible chance. Little handball's okay. McLean between wing and half forward sets it. Bruce and also Neitz ball to the back and off the boot, I think, of Heath Shaw, and the umpire says throw it in. Didn't ping Heater. Badly thrown in Melbourne's forward pocket.
So it's a big last 50 seconds. Fraser spoilt by Maxwell, his own man. Pendlebury tumbles over. No free kick. Hear the explanation from the umpire, and eventually you would think, no, it does come out. Holland. It's all Melbourne back there. And they can sort themselves out. They'll get one last foray forward. Bizzle was imploring Sylvia to get on the lead, so he does. No free kick. Is there time for the Pies, perhaps? Didak, Davis, Ward. There's all set up for him there to make the spoil.
Deliberate.
Oh, no doubt about that. Yeah, that was his only intention. No.
Not out of the question today.
No, as Freddie might be doing some of the umpiring, you think. Here's the ball on the wing. Holland again. Didak, Thomas sprinting after it, but that will do us for half-time. Been some great tactical moments in this half. Terrific start by the Demons, but the Pies, they won't be denied, Wolsey. They really hit back hard.
They did, Hutto. You wouldn't expect anything less from this team, coached by Mick Malthouse. Anthony Rocker, as we said, hasn't featured in the first half. The skipper there, Neitz, has been pretty good. But at quarter time, they had a 27-point lead, Melbourne, and the Magpies were able to reduce that by 12 points. They outscored the Demons by 2 goals in that second quarter. Just what they needed to do. They are really well and truly in the contest now at just 15 points behind.
All right, the D's leading the way.